or as we say in our home, climb the wooden hill to Bedfordshire. But here I am with chapter 6 before I retire on gluttony and indulgence. My first year in Philippi was earlier eclipsed by a wave of persecution. But for the moment, the church is free, and in the freedom to practice faith, worship sometimes seems less important than it might be in more desperate times. In truth, we are enjoying the economic prosperity, although I cannot believe that our good Lord, who always cast an eye to the poor, would agree with all the various forms of indulgence that one sees around our parish. Persecution has now subsided, and there is so little stress that I feel the peaceable kingdom may be about to set upon us. What, dear Clement, is a Christian to do when we have so much that we feel so little need of Christ? Who can say? Jesus once blessed the poor in spirit. I remember Lena, the leper of Bithynia. Perhaps Jesus blessed the poor in spirit because in our poverty we acknowledge our need and turn towards him who is the source of plenty. Now we have plenty and see our abundance rising from our own ability to provide for ourselves. The things that God gives us do not cause us to love him. Evermore we treasure the gifts and not the giver. We are made neurotic by having too much. Indulgence stands opposite self-denial and incriminates us with our very love of it. Saturnalia is gone, and most of the believers here in Philippi have become confessors of the number one sin of the season, gluttony. For a fortnight, Christians were saying grace over horrendous portions of goodies that filled out the pleats in their togas. Now many of them are waddling off as guilty and unreformed chubbies, unrepentant in their indulgence. We sin so often against temperance, and how comical our atonement must look to our God. My dear Clement, what forms our penitence takes? Have you ever heard of the ovum fast? It is if you eat only eggs for a week while you drink the juice of bitter fruits, you may atone for all indulgence. One hefty believer in Antioch lost a couple of kilos in this manner. Then there is the aqua concept, where heavies lose their weight by drinking all the water they can stand for a fortnight. Anna Magna drank 43 firkins a week while she ran 3 times along the Athenian way every morning. Her weight loss was impressive, and now she lectures in temperate believers on the need for lighter witnesses. Time would not permit to tell all of the diets that abound after Saturnalia is over. Must life ever be seasons of gluttony and starvation? Is there no moderate way to health? All of this is bewildering when you consider that indulgence is a sin which most of us Christians observe too frequently. How long will it be before all of us learn that overfilling our body is a kind of abuse? Our Father in heaven created our bodies as the temple in which he could live and be a witness to himself. How good is our Lord's example? When he fed the 5,000, he multiplied fish and bread, and not sweetmeats and honey cakes. Perhaps it was his way of saying, "Thou shalt not glut, and he that doth shall never squeeze through the narrow portals of life." Forgive me, Clement, if I seem obstinate on the subject, but after all, a witness is liable for all areas of his example. I remember a portly disciple preaching against strong wine in Berea. His message was abrogated by his own unwillingness to practice a form of denial we all must deal with. A thin wine bibber is no less credible than a thick teetotaler. I too am overfed, but I cannot bring myself to drink a firkin of water or trot along the Athenian way. Prosperity and acceptance make us neurotic about such things as these. Probably self-control, not the spastic attempt of the overindulgence to fast away their ill-begotten intemperance, is the mark of a Christian. Well, good night, folks.